Yeah, and thank you for that because we have so many veterans that are all across the world. And one thing that happens is, and we see this a lot, Japan, Korea, Germany, Italy, the places where U.S. Troops are really stationed, is they fall in love with people that are locally there, and then they decide to file the case. Now, there is a exception. Typically, a person who wants to file a marriage case has to directly file a case with USCIS. If they're living abroad, they, I think they mail to the Chicago lockbox. I'm not sure, but in these kind of cases, we don't need to do that. Many times, we could file directly with the embassy. Could you talk about what that means?
Sure. So there are two options, as you mentioned, right? One option is to file directly with the SAS, even if you are live overseas or stationed overseas, or you can file directly with the embassy. And there are so much more benefits to it when you file it directly with the embassy. It's faster,
Hmm.
right? Everything is right there. You just drop your paperwork, and I'm not sure about the timelines, but the timelines. Uh, like so much more shorter than compared if filing within the United States.
Yeah,
But
definitely. It's gonna be faster one way or another.
yeah, but the thing is, the embassies they require that, for example, a person. Let's talk about military cases, right? So if one is stationed, for example, in Germany, they can file directly with Frankfurt, right?
Mhm.
General consulate, but you gotta be stationed there. So, for example, now we have one case where our client, active military, he's on active military duty member, and he was stationed in Italy. That's where he met his spouse,
Mhm.
right? And then he was transferred to, say, Korea, right? And the spouse is still in Italy, right? But the military member is in Korea, and we're trying to make it to file directly with the embassy in Italy. And this
Yeah.
is the problem with this kind of cases because military members they get transferred. Um, I would not say a lot. I don't know anything about that, but they do get transferred.
Yeah, it
Uh,
happens. Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah, they have
happened.
rotations and stuff. I mean, many times, like in Japan, they might go from one, within Japan from one station to another. But the issue, for example, the Italy case we have is the requirement is the U.S. military person has to go in person and turn it in and be stationed there. But we're trying to find an exception to this, and we've contacted the embassy. Unfortunately, haven't got responses, so they have to escalate it, and we got a senator's office involved, and that's been hard because of so many requests to the senator's office. They're really backed up, but to say, hey, making exceptions is active duty. We can make these exceptions all the time. So just do with the embassy because we want to, the foreign spouse get a green card and come visit the family in the United States sooner. If we go the I-130 route, it's going to take over a year. It's going to over a year easily, at least a year and a half. And so we wanted to kind of get it faster so they could, the breaks he does have from military duty when he comes to the U.S., he could bring his wife and they can meet the family and all that kind of stuff. So this direct filing is possible. There's another aspect where if that pops up, and we didn't plan this one out, but it popped up in my head because a lot of my cases are military spouses where the foreign spouse, typically the wife, is in the United States on a student visa or something like that. They get married and they file the I-130, but then the U.S. petitioner, the citizen, gets transferred for active duty. Active duty. And I've seen people who won't file the case, and they for a year almost, and have had this several times because they think that they both have to be in the U.S. together because the I-130 adjustment is going to have an in-person interview, and they think that the spouse has to be the U.S. spouse has to be here for the interview. But there is an exception. It's up to the discretion of the USCIS officer doing the interview, but they're almost always going to say positive discretion on this and say even though both partners are on there, the one is stationed overseas, they could go the foreign national go individually and do a marriage green card case alone. Now you need to have the paperwork showing they're on active duty, so you need to bring that with you so they'll believe you. But then the U.S. Foreign person who's in the United States goes to the interview and could adjust status even though their military spouse isn't there. So it's not a reason to not move the case forward in these kind of cases, whether in the U.S. or overseas. They do make allowances because they know these people are dealing with hardship. They're separated. It's not up to them where they're going to be. So it's best to just move these cases forward, and they make a lot of accommodations for these kind of couples.